Hello, everyone. My name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, we want to welcome you to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today, with us, Angel Rebo, CEO, consultant, TV host, international public speaker, and president of the Wisdom for Kids Foundation, is going to be interviewing Dr. Dorothy Martin-Neville. She is an international speaker, healer, author, consultant, master coach, frequent radio, podcast, and television guest and host, and former president of the National Speakers Association. Before starting with them, we want to remind you that Mindalia is a nonprofit organization. Our only mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness around the world, and you can help us. How? Subscribing to our channel if you haven't done it yet, leaving us a positive comment on this video, or sharing it with someone that you know that can benefit from the content that we're going to be discussing here today. Also, while we are live streaming, we want to remind you that we have the active chat, this window that you're going to be seeing here on my side. Through there, you can interact with us. You can enter your questions, and Dr. Dorothy will be answering kindly at the end of the interview. We just ask you to please follow the format, the word question in caps, the place where you're seeing us from, and the actual question you want answered in relationship with the conference that we're going to be developing here today. Last but not least, Mindalia broadcast daily, actually weekdays, from Monday to Friday in Portuguese through Mindalia Televisão, in English through Mindalia TV English, as you already know, and in Spanish through Mindalia Televisión. So we invite you to go visit our different channels, find out what we are developing there. We also invite you to collaborate with us, sharing your own valuable content. For that, you have to go to our website, and in the top of the page, you will find a link that says Collaborate with Mindalia. It's going to take you to a form that you can fill out. Our technical team will be contacting you. You could be sharing your valuable information with the world through the platforms of Mindalia TV. I'm not going to entertain you any longer. I'll be leaving you with Angel and Dr. Dorothy Martin-Neville. Guys, welcome to Mindalia live streaming. The screen is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mirna, and Dorothy. Welcome to Mindalia TV.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. It's amazing for us. We're really, really blessed to have you here, and we're so thrilled. I would like to ask to start with a very easy question, which is, what does it take to be a healer, Dorothy?
A willingness to do your own healing, and I think is the biggest piece, and a willingness to allow yourself to be somebody who lives at peace and really brings an important message to those who are in need of healing.
According to your experience, do you think that typically people know that they need to be healed?
Many do, but not all do. And we need to meet people where they are. And if people don't believe they need to be healed, we need to allow them to walk the journey as they choose.
And if someone wanted to start to be a healer, wanted to start that path, and they started healing themselves, and probably they would need help, right? Help from someone, help from something. What would be a good point to start from?
Depending upon their beliefs, and it's really very important. Depending upon their beliefs, some turn to their minister or their priest to begin healing process. Others turn to a therapist. Some turn to an energy practitioner. So it really depends on where their faith is, where they have the most faith. You don't want to work with somebody you don't believe in. So it's finding somebody they believe in completely.
What does a healing process imply? What does it contain? What is a healing process? How does someone heal?
Well, I can speak most directly about the way in which I taught it for 19 years at a school I founded, as well as how I do it on my own, is that if somebody approaches me, whether it's an emotional disease, if you will, a physical disease, spiritual, it all depends on where they come from. If they present with me physically, I look and see, are they now working with physicians? Are they working with other practitioners? Who and what are they doing? And how can I integrate my work into that? Then I want to explore for them, who are they? What are their belief systems? If it's physically ill, why or do they believe, or how do they believe this came about? And do they recognize that we are multidimensional beings, that disease begins on an energetic level. When we are not at peace, we create dis-ease within our bodies. We create dis-ease within our souls, within our minds. And eventually that dis-ease shows up on a physical level. So working with them, if they make that connection, some don't want to see that connection. If they do, I support them in looking at what's going on for them emotionally and what's going on for them spiritually, and help resolve those stress levels, that disease in their system, so that we really can begin to heal the physical body. And then as an energy practitioner, I use my skills there to bring balance into their bodies and to heal, whether it's a tumor, whether it's a disease or a broken bone, whatever it may be. And then see if they can identify that maybe there's a reason this took place. Never is it a punishment, but is there a reason this might have taken place?
Are people reluctant to acknowledge that there's a reason?
Some are and some aren't. Some come to see me and they're already well aware. And they'll say, I know who you are because I've been in this work for over 20 years. Please help me understand why. What was the reasoning? What am I supposed to learn from this? And others will say, oh, there's absolutely no reason at all. I just went to the doctor, had surgery, and now I'm all better. And that's the end of the story. And generally they come back to me when there's a reoccurrence.
And what would be a process of healing look like?
Let's just pick an example.
Exactly.
Say, fibromyalgia, because I did my whole dissertation research, quantitative and qualitative research into fibromyalgia. When a client came to see me using a walker and somebody said, you can heal me. And I said, what does that look like for you? And she said, I want to be able to walk without pain. So I asked what was going on at the point of onset, what was happening for her when the fibromyalgia began, when the pain began. And years ago, it was oftentimes misdiagnosed as rheumatoid arthritis until there was a clear delineation as the differences between those two diseases. And she had been misdiagnosed and then was labeled with fibromyalgia. So I asked her what was going on. And when she told me her daughter had moved to California, gotten married and moved to California, and she was terrified she could no longer protect her daughter. And the fear was just rampant throughout her body. And so I began to work with her to look at her daughter was an adult now. And does she think she has supported her daughter in learning how to take care of herself? And that she has a husband there who can help as well. So they can do this together for each other out there in California. And her conviction was that nobody could protect a child the way a mother could. And so really I needed to work with her to help her understand. I would do 50% of the hour with me was on energy medicine, working with her, bringing balance into her body. But the other 50% was looking at helping her understand that her daughter was now an adult and living on her own. And when she finally could get that, she then started recognizing it was time for her to begin her own life. She had never really invested in her own life. She invested in herself as a wife and as a mother. And now it was time for her to invest in herself as a woman and who she wanted to be, what she wanted to do with her life, and what she wanted her legacy to be other than her children.
A very important part of our audience are actually women. So, I mean, they typically carry like a very heavy burden, don't you think?
Yeah, they do. I am a mother, so I know that. I know that we want to protect our babies. I don't care if they're 80, we'll be wanting to protect our babies if we're here. But part of the journey is learning to recognize that we have a life apart from the family we have created. I see each one of us as an embodied soul. And if you will, I'm sitting here in this chair as this embodied soul walking my spiritual journey. And over there at arm's length, there are my children and my family and my friends and my career and my own process and all of those things. They're all over there. But here in the chair is this embodied soul walking her journey. And when we can remember that, it makes it far easier to recognize that each of the people in our lives that we love have their own journey that they're walking. That we are not here to lead them on theirs. They need to walk their path. We're here to be that loving support, that when they need help, when they need a hand up, we're here to give it to them. But we need to let them walk their own journey.
Throughout your career and your life, have you helped a lot of women?
I humbly would say probably thousands over the course of my career as a teacher in graduate school, in medical school, as an international speaker, speaking in so many countries, which are all kinds of audiences, so much TV and radio, and as a therapist, I'm a PhD therapist, and spent over 20 years seeing 42 patients a week. And those women go back and impact other women. And so, yeah, I've been blessed with having reached many.
And how do you see the role of women in society today?
Well, actually, within about 3 weeks, my latest book, my 7th book, is coming out. And the title of my book is Real Women Change the World. And it's subtitled Letting the Good Girl Die So the Real Woman Can Live. And I start off with 3 quotes from the Dalai Lama saying that women need to become a more active part of society, because I believe women working in alignment with men make anything in the world possible. But I believe women bring in a collaborative approach to problem solving rather than conflict. Women bring in collaboration. So we do that more than we do competition. Women bring in compassion and a heart and soul-based approach to the journey. And I think that's sorely missing right now. So more women in politics and medicine and in business really support heart and soul coming back into this, and a far greater approach through collaboration.
And given the role that women have in society today and their situation, how would you relate that to fear, to healing processes? Would you say that women need to be healed more than men because of the burden that they carry? How do you see this?
No, I see that our cultures have placed a huge burden on men as well as on women. I think men, unfortunately, have been taught erroneously that they are supposed to be all-knowing, all-powerful, all-capable of all things, so that men don't have a chance, and this is obviously a generalization, men don't have a chance to just be human. They as well have certain strengths. Ride with them, go with them, bring them to the world needs it. But no man knows everything about everything and is all-powerful. And I think men take massive amounts of responsibility that is unfair to them. I believe women, the healing that they have, as a generalization, is that women have been taught to be good girls. Women have been taught not to rock the boat, to spend their lives supporting the men in their lives, and not to say anything that would be offensive or hard or make somebody uncomfortable. And so women have learned to silence their voice. And I think women's healing is claiming their voice. And I did a radio show yesterday, and in writing this book, that I believe women in their insecurity oftentimes struggle for confidence. And my thought is, I don't want women to work towards confidence. I want them to work towards certainty. I want women to be able to have that ability with absolute certainty that they have a purpose in this planet. They uniquely have a gift to bring. They uniquely have the ability to help transform this planet into one in which there is room for all of us. All races, all creeds, all nationalities, all of everything, without looking for the we's and the us's. Let's stick with one we, one brotherhood of man.
You mentioned earlier that we are multidimensional
Right.
beings. How can we see that? How can we perceive? How can we be certain that that's what's really going on?
If you practice any type of mindfulness, any type of meditation, anything that keeps you in alignment with you, keeps you centered with you, and you're going about your day, you're going to have a sense of knowing about something that nobody ever told you. You may be speaking with somebody about one topic, but you know there's a great depth to them, or you know there's not a great depth to them. That's another level of awareness. That's not intellectual awareness. That's an inner knowing. That's an intuitive inner knowing level of being. Going even further, it doesn't take a PhD to understand that if out of nowhere you haven't thought of a particular friend in years, and all of a sudden they pop in your mind, and then the phone rings, and there's that friend calling you. You can either say coincidence and write it off that way, or you can laugh at the synchronicity that energetically both of you simultaneously were thinking of the other, and he or she reached out to you. And to me, when those things happen, I just laugh and thank Spirit that there is such a connection. There's such a synchronicity in all of this. Just as a coach, when I work, oftentimes now I work with C-suite with men and women who are presidents of their companies or in the C-suite level of their companies. But when I would be working with new entrepreneurs and have them see that when they finally got clear on what they wanted, where they wanted to go, what they wanted to do with their company, all of a sudden they started meeting all the right people. All of a sudden they were in the right place at the right time. And I would say, do you think that's all coincidence? Or could there truly be something much bigger at work here? And they would laugh and say, even I can't believe it was just coincident, Doc. There had to be something more going on. So I think we can see many of those dimensions, many of those realities, if we're willing to see them. And that's really what it comes down to. If we're willing to see them, we see them in our lives every day.
What are the consequences of willing to see those dimensions?
When you're willing to see
yes, when you are really willing.
Life becomes a fun, exciting adventure. It's an adventure where you're waiting to see what's around the next bend, because you have no idea where your journey is going to take you. And to me, that is a joy. That just makes life fun, because you never know who you're going to meet that can help you bring a message to millions. Life is just an adventure, but you have to be willing to get up and walk it. You have to take responsibility for your own journey. You have to hold yourself accountable, and then be open and willing to see what comes in your way, because it's going to be amazing.
Would there be a way that we could teach or advise our audience on Mindalia TV, a way or a path that they could follow in order to increase their openness and willingness to perceive that?
I would start with a practice of mindfulness, a practice of simply sitting in the silence and listening within. It's really emptying your mind, and this isn't work ardently and stridently in your high stress where you're trying to clear your mind. You're defeating the whole purpose. In a very relaxed, calm way, take some time to recognize your unique separateness as an embodied soul. And when you have that ability to have that spiritual detachment, have that ability to sit back and separate from the world around you and just listen to the silence, listen to what's going on inside your body, listen to how your body feels. Where are you holding tightness? Where are you holding tension? Where are you holding fear or sadness? What's going on inside your own body? When you have that ability to disconnect from the world outside, you begin to see it on many levels. You begin, because you can now look at it objectively, you're not invested in every single thing that's taking place. You now can see it much more clearly, and you see the synchronicity, you see the goodness, and you see those people who are betraying themselves unintentionally. And you come at life, I think, because what you are doing, you're connecting with the inner wisdom that comes from Spirit.
You mentioned that you've coached so many hundreds or even thousands of people throughout your career. Is there a difference between coaching someone very high up in organizations and maybe people not so high up? Is there a difference?
There are differences, and there are amazing similarities. Some of the differences are those who have achieved great success, whatever that means to them. Those who are at high levels in organizations, they have a knowing that they know how to do things. Even frequently, especially with men, there's a sense of fraud. I feel like a fraud, when they're at these very high levels. But they know so much. And so when you have men or women at that level, there's a confidence, there's an intellectual development, and they're good, they're experts in their field, and they know that. Their difficulties are much more about they've made it to the top, now that they know how to struggle and get to the top. But once you're at the top, you have to learn how to lead. They know how to struggle to get there, but now that they're there, what do? And they have to really develop their leadership skills. And that takes a lot of inner and outer work to develop effective leadership skills, because leadership is now being seen in a whole new way. It's in the past, it was always, I'm the one authority and I will speak down. Now there's the realization that collaboration is the best way to do that. And an effective leader creates leaders around them and isn't threatened that their position is going to be taken over, but they create leaders around them because you're as powerful as the weakest person on your team, so why not create an immensely strong team? So there's a very big difference there. The beginner entrepreneur or somebody working for an organization, they're still trying to figure out where they want to go and how they want to get there. Who do I want to be in this organization? Do I want to be in this organization? So they're still answering a whole lot of basic level questions. The similarities are women betray themselves the same way no matter what their position. Men betray themselves the same way no matter what the position. You can have a new guy starting a company making $30,000, $40,000, and he's going to have the same belief that the whole world depends on him. He's responsible for the entire world. That pressure, that stress is going to make him physically ill if he can't find a balance in that. And the woman who is starting out, as well as the woman who is at the top level, has to learn to have a voice, and to have a voice with certainty. And knowing that if we are going to have an impact on this planet, we are going to make waves. We are going to require change. We are going to require people hold themselves accountable. And they have to be comfortable. They have to grow into that position that if we are going to be leaders, we need to have a voice.
You've mentioned an expression that it's really piqued my attention, which is self-betrayal. They've self-betrayed.
Right.
Why is? I mean, you've mentioned it several times. Do we really do that?
We do. All of us.
Could you tell that? Could you explain that a little bit better?
Let's just say that you want to get an article out, and it has to be in by midnight tonight. Well, you could start it 3 weeks ago. You could wait to start it this morning at 8 o'clock because you had 6 hours free, and that's when you're going to write that article. And then all of a sudden, 14 other distractions come in. And you have to deal with those 14. What if you didn't? Life would go on if you spent those 6 hours just writing that article. Not that I think all articles take 6 hours. Some of us whip them out in a half an hour, depending on what it is. But you end up doing these 14 distractions, and life goes on, and then you're called, and now it's 11:30 in the evening. And you're a nervous wreck. You now can't think clearly, and yet this article could have a huge impact on this TV station. It could have a huge impact on your life. And now you're rushing in a half an hour to get that article written. And you want to make it the best article. You want to do research. You want to do it all. What have you just done to yourself? You have just self-sabotaged. You have just self-betrayed. Your best self would have showed up if you disappeared for 6 hours this morning. Maybe found you wrote the article in 2. And what a gift. Now you can, in absolutely relaxed way, go about the rest of your day and submit your article early. So there are many ways we do that. Or we're in a situation where I'm going to meet somebody I really want to get to know because I believe I really could help them. And yet I end up spending all my time talking to everybody else under the sun. The event's over and I never get to that person. Why would I do that to myself? I solely went there to meet this one person. Why did I allow myself to be distracted and pulled away and pulled away? I betrayed my purpose. I betrayed me in going to that event in the first place.
Why do we do that all the time? I was just, as you were explaining it, I got drawn by your explanation, and I was just picturing myself, and probably the audience was doing the same thing. So why do we do that so often, Dorothy?
Because we, one, have to own our focus. We have to own our purpose. We have to own that our life is in our hands. And if I'm going to get from A to B, there's only one person that can make that happen. And if I don't follow through with what I know in my higher self, I know in my best self, this is what I want for me. If I don't make it happen, nobody is going to rescue me and make it all better. I have to take responsibility for my life and where it's going. And not for a moment do I say we can do all of this all by ourselves. We can't do a great deal. We cannot succeed enormously by ourselves. We need to do that in conjunction with others. We need to work with others. But when it comes right down to specifics, it's our responsibility to make happen what it is we want to have happen in our lives. And if we don't stay focused and clear on it, because we don't think we have a right, because we're really nervous about asking, do I really have the right to voice this? Is it too much? Am I being too much? All of these questions come into play. Am I too much? Am I being too pushy? Am I going to make them uncomfortable? What if they say no? I'll be humiliated. Maybe I could be distracted enough times and maybe I won't get a chance, so I will never have that humiliation. So we consciously or unconsciously come up with all kinds of justifications for not doing what we know is exactly what we need to do to get exactly where it is we want to go.
Yeah, we were talking about mindfulness before. How can mindfulness help us to stop that self-sabotage forever?
Yeah, what mindfulness does is it takes away all the noise. Because, in our culture now, and I've lived on a third world country which had a very different culture, a much slower pace in the Caribbean. But here in the States and in many other countries that have this lifestyle, we have 100 different things coming at us any hour. And I don't believe that's an exaggeration, especially now, those of us in business, between emails, our personal emails, our business emails, between LinkedIn, between Facebook, and then phone calls and Twitter and text messages. We could be running all day, never accomplish anything because we're just reacting to everything coming to us. What mindfulness can do is to support you stop reacting and allow you to start responding. And when you walk in peace, and to me, inner peace is one of the guiding lights of my life. If it takes my inner peace away, I don't know that I truly want to do that. And having inner peace doesn't mean without passion. I'm a very passionate woman, but inner peace keeps us centered. I think when we do that mindfulness, when we do that inner peace, we're able to respond to everything that takes place in our life. We don't react to anything. And that's a huge delineation. We have to step out of fear. We have to step out of defense. We have to come into our own heart, into our own quiet in order to respond. Because fear is always a result of results in reaction. Fear causes you to react to things. Step out of fear, step into peace, and you'll respond.
What is, when you wake up in the morning, what is that motor? What is that force, that energy that allows you to be focused and stop, and prevent you from self-sabotaging?
What I do in my ritual, if you will, is when I wake up in the morning, I usually roll over on my back. I may be on a side or on my stomach or something. I roll over my back and get my covers all nice and warm and set and breathe. And I then take about 5 minutes to do my own inner reflection, to do my own mindfulness. How am I feeling? Did I wake up depressed? Did I wake up happy? Does any part of my body hurt? Do I feel fear? what's going on? And then I remember what's going on in my day to day. Before I go to bed at night, I look at the next day. What does the next day hold for me? Because I in prayer at night, ask Spirit to help me be the best me, to do what needs to be done overnight, to be the best me tomorrow and whatever I'm doing tomorrow. And so when I wake up in the morning, after I've looked at what's going on within me, what's up for today, and I go through each segment and ask to have each segment blessed. Bless the show, bless what I'm doing after the show. I have a speaking engagement tonight, to bless that I bring the best message that could be brought to these people. So all through the day. So by the time I get out of bed, I know how I woke up, and if I was depressed or I was stressed or I was anxious about something coming up, how can I support me not to feel those things? Because I believe within us, we have thousands of emotions, and you never know which one is going to come up. And what pops up isn't important. It's what I choose to hold on to that's important. And if anxiety pops up in the morning and I wake up in anxiety, what's it about? If it's about a speaking engagement tonight, what can I do today to eliminate that this morning so it doesn't carry with me through the day? Maybe it's going over my talk one more time. Maybe it's reading my notes that they gave me about what they hope I offer tonight. Anything that can bring me back and let that stress go. So by the time I get out of bed, I know what's coming up in my day. I'm already at peace, and I've already called in Holy Spirit to walk with me through it. So I'm not alone. I am aware we've never walked one moment of this life alone, and I'm ready to roll. And with my voice, I am ready to come and start my day.
That's a very interesting point, regardless of religion or spiritual wisdom that everybody follows. It just touched upon something extremely powerful, which is we're never alone. We're never alone. What would be a good way to ask for help to that? How to say that to that something that is always with us.
It depends. And some people are atheists; they don't believe in anything out there. Well, then I pray they believe in themselves, that they believe in their own inner goodness, because I believe we're all embodied souls. So I pray they believe in their own inner goodness. And for others who have a faith in something out there, the faith itself is irrelevant. It doesn't matter if you practice religion, it doesn't matter what your religion is. Knowing you've never walked alone, and it's really developing a relationship. Developing whatever your faith system calls for, developing that style of relationship with the one you consider to be the creator, or to be God, to be whatever word you use. It's irrelevant to me. But it's knowing we're all in this together, and we've never been alone. And so I just pray. To me, it's like my life mate. Spirit, walk with me on this one. Let's do this together. Yeah.
And speaking of, waking up, maybe being anxious or some other, feelings which are not comfortable, is there something that we can do before we go to bed that maybe can affect the way that we wake up in the morning? Does that exist?
Most definitely. Most definitely. We know now through research that when you go to bed with your laptop or your iPad, your tablet, whatever you have, that there's a lot of impact energetically in your body. There's a lot of negative impact in your body. So it's not good for us. So if you go to bed, if you want to read a book that brings you to peace. That's not a good time to read a murder novel. That's a good time to read something that brings you to peace. I go to bed and I do a meditation. So it may be 5 minutes, it may be 20 minutes. It depends on how tired I am. But I go to bed at a place of trust. That in my religion, that my upbringing was trusting that Spirit and Mary and whomever may be with me as I walk through this journey, and ask that that if I dream overnight, that it allows me to have an awareness of who I'm supposed to be on this planet. And so I go to sleep in relationship with something greater than myself.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I would like definitely the Mindalia TV's audience to know, how can they find you? How can we all find you online? What's the best way to do it?
The best way is either email, which is Dorothy, Dorothy, at askdrdorothy.com. That's ASKDRDOROTHY. So Dorothy at askdrdorothy.com, or my website, which is askdrdorothy.com. Yeah.
Excellent. What's going to be the title of your new book? Do you know it already?
No, it's already done. It's out there. The cover is being should be back in my desk by this afternoon.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm excited. The title is Real Women Change the World, and it is subtitled Letting the Good Girl Die So the Real Woman Can Live.
Wow. Speaking of, very related to what we just talking about a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Calling women to really claim their voice and be who they truly are, not who they are supposed to be, but be who they truly are, because that's the gift we bring to the world.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you. Let's go to the questions then. First question: what would be the right approach when bringing up spirituality to someone facing a disease, to a non-believer?
Even if they're a non-believer, to say something to the effect of, I will be praying for you. You know, I will pray for you. And even if they don't believe in prayer, they believe in the warmth of the gift of your thoughts. So for non-believer, my thought is to say, I'm going to be doing everything I can do to pray for you and to bring in the right people to help heal you and support you in your own healing. And as a healer, I just place my hand on their foot or their leg or something and send in a balanced energy so that I can allow them to have more peace within their body, to allow their immune system to function.
When you do that, do you actually feel the energy of a body?
Oh, completely.
Oh, really?
Oh, my goodness, yeah. Yeah, that's a breeze. If we're ever together physically, I will show you how you can feel your own energy and your own, just by touching your feet. You can feel energy throughout your entire body. And some of it's going to be moving fluidly, some of it's going to be stuck, some of it's going to be very slow. That's a breeze to feel. That's what I taught in my school for 19 years. Yeah.
So that can be definitely learned then.
Oh, that can be learned in, oh my goodness, that can be learned in 15 minutes. Yeah.
Wow, powerful.
Yeah, it really is.
Wow, excellent. Thank you. Let's go to the next question. Can you give us an advice on how to actually apply in life all the knowledge offered by spirituality?
How to apply? Yes. I believe we're called to bring the best of who we are to this planet. And how do you apply that? Take a look at when you feel really good about what you're doing. Take a look at when you feel that you're not your best self. And when you have an inclination to act out or to react rather than respond. Catch yourself. When are you reacting? Because when you react, you're not giving your best message. So notice when you do that, and then back up and respond. To live spirituality, to me, is to live in awareness of you're representing spirit as you walk through the planet, and walk through in peace and bring your best self. Love unconditionally. We've been called to unlove, to any faith. One of my college degrees is in my undergraduate degree, comparative theological studies. So I've read the Quran, I've read the Bhagavad Gita, I've read Confucius and Tao and many other religious thoughts. And all of them believe in brotherhood and in sisterhood, in this, we're in this together. And when you practice that, you're practicing universal spirituality.
Wow, so much wisdom. What, according to your experience, what do you think that we humans do? What are we doing in this planet? What do you think what are we doing in this dimension? Why are we here?
I believe we are here to support each other coming into their best self. And as we grow and grow spiritually, I think it's an evolution. So I think we're here to support each other growing spiritually. I believe we're here to create a culture and a world that lives in alignment with all living creatures. That we're here to treat everybody and everything with unconditional love. And we may not like somebody's behavior, but that doesn't mean we need to hate who they are as a human. As a person, and even that, and even killing animals for sport. I mean, all of this. I think we're here to create that world in which we all have the basic human rights. We all have the basic human gifts of healthcare, of life, of joy, you know. And I just believe we're here to make us in the world a better place.
Excellent. Thank you. Next question. In a world of full of financial responsibilities, how can we follow our passion if it has an uncertain outcome?
This is a question many entrepreneurs ask themselves. You know, how do you do that? With what? With wisdom. If it is uncertainty, but if your passion is to, and I don't know if that's a question coming about a passion of they want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. All right, that's their passion. How can you start training for free? How can you take day trips and climb the mountains where you live? And eventually, how do you then begin to live a lifestyle where you can save and just enough and go the cheapest way possible to make that happen? If you're an entrepreneur or you're working for a company and you want to be an entrepreneur, how can you legitimately look at your expenditures? So many people are trapped, and yet they spend money in ways that's absolutely unnecessary. How can we come back and be wise about how you spend your money? Be wise about what your interests are. You know, be wise about where you're going, and let go of a culture that tells you you need to have dinner out so many nights a week, or you need to have drinks out so many nights a week. Look at how you can live your life most financially responsible. And also, I believe if it's truly your passion, I believe, and my first book is called Dreams Are Only the Beginning, Becoming Who You're Meant to Be. And that's dreams for your life, dreams for your journey. And I believe that it's truly your passion is a result of your dream. It is something that is going to happen. There are things that are going to come into alignment in your life that will allow you to live that dream. And so be financially responsible always, and then take a look at how many financial responsibilities you take on that really aren't yours.
Excellent. Excellent piece of advice. Thank you. And next question. There are so many great healing ways out there. Which one is your favorite? The one that resonates the most with you?
The one that resonates the most with me is energy. Energy medicine is what I'm trained in 9 modalities of integrative healthcare. And I created my own method of energy medicine, which is why I opened up my school and had a 4-year program teaching physicians, nurses, occupational therapists, as well as lay people, carpenters and bankers and housewives. So for me, I look at everything through energy. Is your energy balanced? And if it isn't, can you learn to balance it yourself, or can you bring in an energy healer who can do that for you? And if you're financially strapped, that's great. Learn how to do your own energy balance. We are our own healers, ultimately, anyway. So to me, that's my love, is I see everything in the world through the prism of energy.
Excellent. Next question. How do you keep your energy clean and flowing?
Always living in integrity. Always living in integrity. When we step out of integrity, energy starts to feel very heavy. It starts to feel very tight, and we don't feel good in our own bodies. When we live in integrity, and that comes down back to what we said earlier about responding rather than reacting. And that may mean holding onto your desk or your chair really tight while you answer something in integrity, and keep everything clean without some nefarious, without an evil agenda. Keep everything clean in your life. And then you don't have to worry about what you're hiding and what's going to be discovered, because you're clean and clear in your intention always.
Excellent. We are about to end our conversation today. I would definitely like you to talk to Mindalia TV's audience and just give them a thought, a piece of advice, whatever comes to your mind right now.
I believe that when we live in our truth, anything in this world is possible. And whatever we achieve, whatever we don't achieve, if we live in our truth, it's exactly the way it's meant to be. Take the time to discover what your truth is and then live it. And we are all intrinsically holy beings, and enjoy yourself. Give up. I guess to make that really simple, give up the self-judgment, give up the self-hatred. We are all intrinsically holy beings, And if we live in our integrity and in our truth, we're going to know that on every cell of our body.
Excellent. It's been such a blessing to have you with us today, Dorothy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a joy.
Thank you very, very, very much. It's been amazing. I mean, I've personally really enjoyed it. I'm sure Mindalia TV's audience has also enjoyed it. Thank you for being with us today. And to our audience, again, this is Angel Rebo with Mindalia TV. Thank you very much for joining us today for this amazing interview, and hope to see you really soon. Goodbye. Have a good day.